without doubt, I would suggest the HA5 is certainly, to the best of my knowledge, the best product that is out there on the market. Certainly it has fit our needs very well. It has saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Before we decided to do HA5, we did do an analysis from a financial perspective. And so over time, we did the calculation and we saved our community over about a 20-year period of time, about $1.6 million.
The bottom line is these roads are what's going to cost us the most money over the course of the whole lifetime of the community. And we know that by using this HA5 system that we have now, what we've been able to do is extend the life of these roads on our reserve study for about 7 to 10 years longer than we originally had anticipated. So what does that mean? By using the HA5 in our community, we're going to save $1.5 million. That means that I don't have to go to the community and ask for another assessment.
So normally roads are going to last 25 to 30 years before you have to take up a layer of asphalt and put down new asphalt. So what happens in this case was, after we used HA5, we have an outside expert come in and give us an evaluation, okay, and said, it's actually going to last longer than we thought it was. So that updates our reserve study, and we don't have to put quite as much money aside every year from the homeowners.
And the HA5 that we were standing on was 6 years old, and it looked twice as good as the seal coat product after 3 years old. I'm not being paid for this. This is what we actually experienced.
What I can tell you is this. The way the roads hold up and the way we've seen them hold up in other communities has allowed us to extend our reserve study from 2027 to 2042. Now, if you take a look at that, that means that we have a much longer period of time, so we can use assessments. We don't have to raise assessments. What we can do is we can hold assessments to the same that they are today and use that money more effectively at other things that need repair right now. What we found with this process, I have the confidence to say that the board of directors in 2030 and 2035 will look at these roads and know that they don't have to add any more money to the program. They will have been reserved correctly through the years.
I really believe in the product. It's been 8 years in a couple of our communities, and the seal is still great, and we're not even having to do that right now, and it's not even recommended to do it right now, so we might be able to actually extend that life to almost 10 years. So, because it's really held up well. Man,
we've tweaked our program for the HA5 product probably 4 or 5 times in the last 10 years. Being less and less and less aggressive every time as far as what the long-term needs are, because the associations that are using this are going to experience significant savings in the long run. And what was previously being budgeted for, asphalt rehabilitation projects just aren't needed anymore with the use of that product.
The streets, you wouldn't normally think of streets as part of the beauty of the community, but streets that present well, that look good, certainly are part of the overall picture and desirability of our community. It really gives a kind of a backdrop or a border of our landscaping and golf course area and our other amenities that are here. And it just really pulls the whole package together.
I mean, I can't do it. I don't know what more to say other than makes my life a lot easier. The fewer complaints I get, the better my day is.
Quite frankly, with 8.5 miles of roadbed, if we had to do a rip out and repave, we were looking at the time at about $8.5 to $9 million. That meant that this was a very important piece of infrastructure for us to maintain, lest we find ourselves in a situation where we would have to levy special assessments on our homeowners, the likes of which they would not care for at all. So it was in our own best interest to maintain that incredibly expensive asset. This is where the HA5, from my standpoint, really proved to be an excellent choice.
The initial application of the HA5 cost about 50% more than a simple seal coat. fair enough. But all you need to do is consider for a moment that you won't be disrupting your neighborhood every 3 years to put another seal coat down. You'll forego at least one, most likely 2 applications of the seal coat, and when you add up all the dollars you save, the average yearly cost of the HA5 is considerably less.
And from my treasurer's hat, we were able to actually improve the projections of our reserve fund. At the time, we were about, I think, 70% funded for our estimated replacement, maintenance and replacement of fixed assets. And through the enhanced life cycle of HA5, after we completed the project, I think we were at about 100% funded. So it was financially, it was a very good move. I think from a community appearance and a durability, I think it was really a good move.
You have to do slurry more frequently than HA5. Okay, so HA5, before it needs to be redone, some people say 5 years, some people say 7 years, some people even say 10 years.
The type of application provided by HA5 to our asphalt roadways is incredibly great. It is the best I have ever seen in my 20 years of being here. It lasts after it's applied. It looks like it's been applied, and you can look at it 2 years later and it looks just about as good as it was when it was first applied. I would recommend HA5.
The seal coats kind of struck me as very cheap paint that would be put down. Obviously, you're not using paint on asphalt, but a similar analogy that looked good for a short period of time and then typically would start to lose that nice black look. And within a year, you could barely tell anything had ever been done, but it kind of, at least initially, looks good, but then it just didn't seem to last. But
I thought the seal coat, and I think the rest of the infrastructure thought seal coating, it looked great when it was first done. And it didn't last very long as far as from an aesthetic standpoint. About 3 or 4 months after we had it completed, it really looked like we hadn't done much of anything to the roads at all.
We sent out the proposal for slurry. So when we received the proposal from Holbrook, we saw a product on there, which was the HA5. And we didn't know what that was, so we contacted our reserve study specialist and we said, hey, have you heard of this product? It's something different that's being offered to us, but what are your thoughts on it? And the reserve study specialist highly recommended the product. He said that he thought that it was a good product and that's something that we should consider.
We all know that we have to cover up asphalt, we have to protect it from the sun, and you have approximately 2 ways to go with that. Number one is you can choose a simple seal coat. And I can share with you, based upon my experience visiting quite a number of other neighborhoods, one of which the seal coat was done in 3 phases, 1 phase each year. So it was a really excellent opportunity to see a freshly applied seal coat, a seal coat that was 1 to 2 years old, and then an area of the neighborhood where the seal coat was 3 years old. And I can suggest that with each progression, there was a decidedly different look, and it was very apparent after 3 years that that seal coat was going to have to be replaced.
Our decision to go with Holbrook was unanimous. There's 7 members on the board, and after going through the information, making the comparisons, getting input, getting further education about the products and how they work, ultimately we felt it was best for the community to have Holbrook protect our streets. I would recommend their services to other homeowners association and members of the board of directors.
Sometimes the conversation, if they're thinking about going to HA5 or thinking about changing what they do, the conversation comes, oh, I hear you guys use HA5, are you happy with it? And there isn't a time that I haven't said, hey, I love it, okay? It makes life so much simpler. I get less complaints from homeowners, okay? They're happy with it, we're happy with it, it saves us money.
There are alternatives out there, like HA5 that you should be considering. because the long-term benefits of it are significant enough.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it because I think it's a good product. We got a lot of favorable feedback on how the roads looked then and now.
I advocate very enthusiastically Holbrook Asphalt as a company and the HA5 as an asphalt covering.
Absolutely, without a doubt, I would recommend HA5.